Yo, what's up? Bringing you that MLB Show 20. So we're going to go over creative players, which position you should create for your creative player, what is the best build, and which equipment you guys should be picking up to make them as good as possible. So if you guys are new to Diamond Dynasty or just want to know what the best option is, creating a player, pretty simple. Go to the create and edit player, pick whatever height, weight you want. Now, one thing I would say when you are doing the motions, the batting stance, I would pick a stance that you are good with. If you're really good with any player online, pick that player for your batting stance for your creative player. I always use Yohan Moncada. That's the stance I like, and that's the stance I've been rocking with the last couple years for my creative player. As far as pitching goes, I think you want a unique motion. Maybe a sidearm, something that's difficult to pick up. For example, right now, Blake Snell, he has a really tough motion. I don't know if you can use that for your creative player, but if you can, he's someone. Chris Sale's another one for pitchers. But creative player, I think you definitely want to create one just to have him, even if you don't start him, just have him come off as a pinch hitter. Or if you have him as a bullpen guy, a pitcher, you know, it's a very good option. But going back to what positions are best. So typically outfield is probably the easiest position to have diamond players at. So you don't want to create an outfielder because there's so many options. First base and third base are also pretty stacked when it comes to diamond players, even live series players. But first base, third base, and outfield, there's going to be a ton of diamonds coming out for those positions. So with that said, I always say go with a middle infielder, so shortstop or second base, or a catcher. You can also try having a pitcher, so pitcher's kind of divided. You either get a starting pitcher or a closing pitcher. I don't know about taking a starting pitcher, but having a closing pitcher with a unique motion, maybe a left-handed guy, might not be a bad option. So once again, my recommendation for a creative player, short, second, catcher, or pitcher. You know, so taking a look at this, so just creating your player and leveling him up is pretty simple. You start with a 70. I recommend doing all the moments. Even if you're not going to do a creative player for a certain position, I still recommend doing all the moments for every single creative player and that position. They're pretty easy to do. You get XP, you get some stubs, and you can easily get your guy to a gold player, 82 overall. So moments gets you a good amount of points. And then collections. So if you've been doing collections, you know, collect 30 from each team and whatnot, collecting bronze players, silver players, and gold players, you will get +9 for that. So doing collections and moments gets you to a 82 overall, and then you have to pretty much do either innings and online innings. So those might take a little bit longer, but doing those gets you to a diamond player. So starting off with catcher, you know, it's one of the weakest positions. I feel like we do have some solid options this year. Quick Biggio can play catcher. Piazza's always there. Who's another one? Pudge. So there is some solid guys that you can go after, but creative player is probably going to be the best option. You can make a really solid one. So an 85 overall, you have a power focus, which is not bad. You know, 84 power, and then a contact focus, which has 81 contact and 83 contact. So for an 85 overall, I definitely recommend power. I'm also someone that favors speed, so I want to have a little speed with my player. For the 89 option, this is balanced. It's not bad at all. You have diamond hitting and defense, which is pretty good. 50 speed. Contact focus, I don't really think it makes sense for a catcher. You want your catcher to have some pop. So being at 58 and 57, it's not bad, but it's kind of low. The other thing about this is your equipment will make this way better. So that's why equipment is so important, because the base stats, they might look poor, but once you add some of the best equipment, for example, he has 90 power right now for a power focus, this could turn into 110 or 120 power. So that's why equipment is so important. But for catcher, I don't think the power option is bad at all. 40 speed is kind of low, you know, compared to this 50, but he has a little bit more power. The contact on this is at 70, but you can easily get this to around 80 contact, and then he'll have like 110 power. So I think for a catcher, even with gold tier defense, it's not bad. I would probably go with the power focus. Now moving on to other positions, like I said, I don't think first, third is really viable. I would say second base and shortstop's another good option. These are pretty much the same position, so I'm just going to use shortstop as an example. You know, once again, you want to do the moments, you want to do collections, get that gold player at least. The gold doesn't look bad either, but this is just a basic card. You definitely want to get at least a diamond. So For shortstop and just middle infield, I actually go a different route. Most people might go power. I actually like being a contact, but this power option is not bad at all. He has 81 versus righties, 78 versus lefties, 60 speed, which you can get equipment and probably get it up to 80 speed. So 80 speed is pretty good, and he would have gold defense and hitting on both ends. Now for the 89 overall, or actually I guess 88 for this one, balance is a pretty good option. He pretty much does everything well, and the contact numbers are pretty good. The power numbers are good. Gold tier defense, 65 speed. Once again, you probably can get that speed up to 85. So that's not bad at all, having that power option. For power, I'm not really a fan of that because 60 speed, you still can probably get it up to 80, but I like having really fast players. So power is still really good. You know, you have 91 and 90, but I like having that contact. I'm not really a fan of the fielding option, even though it's diamond tier defense. Just the power is kind of low and the contact's not really there. I'm actually a fan of going contact for the shortstop position. He starts off with 90 contact versus righties and lefties, 57 power and 51 versus lefties, which actually is kind of low. I thought it was a little bit higher, but he has gold tier defense and 88 speed. So with 88 speed, you get a pair of cleats. You will easily get that to 99. The defense, you probably can get around 90. And with power equipment, you probably can get this up to 80. And 80 is that minimum threshold you want for power, because if you get a perfect fly ball and you have 80 power, it's a guaranteed home run. So whenever you're creating a player, I think that's the one thing you want to go after and get that minimum 80 power. So actually, the balance might be the best option because he already starts off with around 80 power, and you can get that speed up to 85. So I think the safe route for all of these positions is actually balance. So you got catcher, and second base and shortstop are pretty much the same. Now for a pitcher, it does get kind of interesting because you have two options. You either get a starter or a closing pitcher. So you could split this up. For the 85 overall, you can go with a starting pitcher, and it might not be bad at all. So for starter, you get a sinker, slider, two seam, and a 12-6. Hit per nines and K per nines aren't bad at all. For the control focus, you get a fastball, slider, circle change, and a 12-6. 91 fastball to me is kind of slow, and then you get a 94 and 92 fastballs with a slider and a changeup. For the closing pitcher, you have break with a 95 fastball, 73 change, and an 83 knuckle curve, and the hit per nines are pretty nice. And then the velocity option, 99 fastball, 96 cutter, and a 72 change. Those pitches are actually pretty good, and the per nines are pretty nice also. I would recommend doing one starting pitcher and one closing pitcher. So for 85, I might go with a starter just because I don't think the starter is going to be as effective. And I don't know, you can't have hitting attributes, can you? No, he has pretty low hitting attributes. That would be pretty crazy if you can have like some nice power numbers. They should have made an option for a two-way player. That would be pretty dope. But the 88 overall option is a little bit different. So for velo, you have a 99 fastball, 97 cutter, and a 71 change. Once again, those pitches are pretty good for a closing pitcher, and the per nines are great. I like the balanced option. You got a 98 fastball, 72 changeup, and an 89 slider. I feel like having a slider is better than having a cutter. So for a closing pitcher, I would go balance focus for this 88 overall. And then for starting pitchers, well, if you want to look at the break, you get a 96 two-seam, a 72 change, and an 83 knuckle curve. I'd rather have a slider than a knuckle curve. I feel like slider is one of the better pitches to have. For a starting pitcher, 95 fastball it tops out at. I don't really think that's that good. You know, 95 is not bad, but I don't know. I think I'd rather go closing pitcher for this. Here you have a 91 fastball with a 76 circle change and a 12-6. Not a bad option for that control focus. And the break focus, you have a 91 sinker and a 91 two-seam. Those are pretty similar pitches, so I would not go with the break focus. So 88 overall, I like the balance focus if you're going closing pitcher, or velo focus for starting pitcher. But I think you should split it up. Probably go velo for this starting pitcher at a 85, and he has a 94 fastball here. So it's not that much of a difference. Just the per nines are a little bit off. And then just for all of these programs, if you continue on, 120 gets you a gear up choice pack. So you might have a chance at getting a gold or diamond equipment, which would be pretty big. This universal icon for Joe Random, and then a bat skin. If you can grind this out early, these bat skins probably could go for a lot of stubs, but that does require you to play online, getting 100 strikeouts and a 75 innings pitch. Definitely a big grind right there, but if you can get that done, I'm pretty sure you could get it easy, like 20k stubs just for the bat skin. So a little recap for catcher, power focus, probably the best option. For second or short, I do like the contact, but I think balance is the safer bet just because you have the power in those positions. And then pitcher, I like the velo for the closing pitcher and even the velo. No, I like the balance for the closing pitcher and the velo focus for the starting pitcher, and I would go higher rated for the closing pitcher. So those are the creative player builds you want to focus on. If you do want to do like outfield, I don't recommend it. I would do a center fielder though, and I probably would just go balanced. Actually, balance doesn't really look that good. I probably would go power, and with equipment you can get that speed up to 90, which wouldn't look bad at all. So if you want to go outfield, I would probably go center field, and then first and third, probably power for first base because you don't really need defense, and third base, you definitely want defense. Let me actually look at what third base has to offer. For third base, I was actually messing around with it. I'm pretty close to getting that first diamond, but I kind of like contact for this, and this one has a little bit more power than the shortstop. So this one, I'm pretty sure you can hit that 80 minimum threshold for power, and that's going to be a nasty build for third base. But third base is a position that is pretty stacked. So let's look at equipment really quick, and we'll kind of explain what equipment actually does for your player. So we'll look at diamonds, but there is some where I think it's best if we look at golds. But bats, you definitely want a diamond bat. So right here, just the first bat we see, +6 power and +6 contact. What that does is that +6 power to both power versus righties and power versus lefties. So you definitely want to go with the most power in this one. And right now, the best bat is this Tatis 23. And I think there's another one that has +9. You have this Profit Maple and this 2K1 Maple. So these are probably the best bats. +9 power and +5 contact. Those are the best bats. The +9 and the +5. +8 and +6 also isn't bad if you're not trying to maximize that power and you want a little bit more contact, I guess. But you definitely want to go with at least +8 and 6. Or +9 and 5, and you definitely want that diamond bat. For batting gloves, you got contact and power, and all of these pretty much have contact and power. So I guess this really depends on what your focus is. If you have a contact guy, you definitely want to get power. If you have a power guy, you might want to add some more contact. But +6 power is definitely nice right here, and I think there's only a couple that have that. So these Rowling gloves, +4 contact and +6 power, definitely really nice. The +5 on both sides is also pretty nice. So the batting gloves are pretty good. I don't think I recommend getting +7 contact and +3 power. Just doesn't really make sense unless you have a guy that's already really good at power and you're just trying to add to that contact. But vision is also pretty nice. So these ones give you +7 vision, which I think makes these ones the best batting gloves that you can get. These ones give you +6 and +5 contact and power. So these batting gloves are pretty good, but I think these Rawlings ones are the best ones to go after. Now for fielding glove, this pretty much depends on which position you're playing. So if you're playing short or second, you kind of want, I guess second you don't need good arm strength, but short I think you definitely want it. So for a shortstop, I think, let me see, this gives you +10 and +8. This gives you +12 and 6. So fielding's pretty important for short. +12 fielding, +6 arm strength, and +6 arm accuracy. That's a pretty nice one to get for a shortstop, a second baseman. Now for catcher, I think you want a little bit more arm strength. And this last one, this Wilson one, gets you +10 fielding, +8 arm strength, +10 accuracy. That might not be bad for a catcher, but I think this one, just the added fielding, is a little bit nicer. Now for a pitcher, there is a big difference. You get K per 9 and hit per 9. I think this one is the best one for a pitcher because you get the K per 9 and you get the hit per 9. Two really important attributes if you're using a pitcher. So for pitcher, I would go with this Under Armour Flawless. Probably for any other position, I would go with Rawlings Gold Glove. Now for cleats, it really depends on what your base speed is. But if you have a power hitter, you definitely want to go after something that gives you a lot of speed. So +14 in speed is definitely really nice. I don't think stealing matters. I actually don't even recommend risking and stealing unless you got 99 speed. but stealing is not really going to do you anything. Reaction's not really that big. Pitching clutch, not big. Hit per 9, doesn't really matter. But for pure speed, this is the best cleat because it adds plus 14. A lot of these add plus 10, 12, 13. So I guess for a position player, the Adidas are the best ones. And then for a pitcher, I think, let me see, home run and hit per 9. Home run per 9 doesn't matter. So for a pitcher, you want the Trouts because you get plus 10 walk per 9, which helps your control, and plus 5 hit per 9. So these are the best ones for a pitcher. Next, we have the catcher mask. Actually, all catcher equipment, it doesn't even matter. I would just go for the gold. Now for elbow guard, these are two attributes that I don't think really matter. Discipline and durability. You're not going to get injured in Diamond Dynasty, so durability doesn't matter. Discipline pretty much just helps with like check swings. So I would just get the gold piece of equipment for the elbow guard. And then I think pretty much the rest I would do the same. Batting clutch, it's nice, but doesn't really matter. I would just go with the gold equipment. And then for wrist guard, pretty much the same thing. You have discipline and durability. I would take the gold piece of equipment. And then compression sleeve, you have durability, arm strength, and accuracy. So the accuracy and arm strength is pretty nice. It depends on what position you are playing, but it's a 2 difference. It's a 2 difference. Easy thing to do is just get the gold one. And pretty much all the equipment right now is pretty expensive, but when the equipment prices do go down, it makes it a little bit more interesting. So just starting off, gold is the way to go for most of these, but you definitely want to upgrade at a later time to the diamond ones. But back grip, I think this one is one you definitely want to get diamond for. It adds plus 4 contact and plus 4 power. Definitely 2 things that are pretty nice, and it adds batting clutch and vision. So these I definitely recommend getting the diamond option. It's better than having plus 2 contact and power, but you know, once again, starting off, going gold is not bad. If you go straight gold just to start off, your player's still going to be pretty nice. These are just things you want to upgrade later down the road, but the diamond ones are going to make your creative player the best possible that it can be. And if you're a pitcher, these don't even matter. But for a hitter, you know, you definitely want those diamonds. Eyewear, I don't even know what eyewear has. So eyewear has plate vision, discipline, accuracy, fielding, and reaction. Actually, quite a few things. I think the gold ones are fine. Plate vision is always good to have. Discipline doesn't matter. Accuracy, fielding, and reaction. It depends what position you're playing. You know, if you're a middle infielder, it matters, but it's not going to matter that much to the point where you need an extra 1 or 2 upgrades. So I think just having the gold option is a safe choice. But, you know, later down the road, if you want to make your player a little bit better, go with the diamond. And then we have socks. Socks add speed. So again, depends what position you're playing. If you're a power guy, you're definitely going to want to add to that speed. You start off with plus 3 and plus 5 stealing. So the gold's pretty good to start off, but that plus 5 might make a difference later down the road. And then the last thing we have is ritual. So ritual is kind of the final piece to your created player, and it really depends on what previous equipment you got. This is pretty much what you want to go and finish up your player with. So some of the biggest rituals to go after. I guess if you're a pitcher, this Axle Grease isn't bad. You get plus 5 K per 9, plus 5 home run per 9, plus 5 walk per 9. Home run per 9 doesn't matter, but having plus 5 for K per 9 and walk per 9 is pretty nice. You get hit per 9 for this one, doesn't matter. The Magician one is pretty good. This is kind of the poor man's version, but you get plus 6 power on both sides and contact, but it's definitely a nice boost. I would never recommend going after fielding. This is the best one for a hitter. The legendary call, you get plus 8 power on both sides and plus 8 contact. That's why this one's the most expensive, but this is the best one for a hitter. And then this one, if you need speed. So if you need speed, get the legend in a cleat, plus 7 speed, and that kind of can finish up maybe a power build. So I guess if you have a contact build, you want to stack up on power. If you have a power guy, you might want to stack up on speed. And then I don't think the rest of these are really that good. These are all gold options. So the diamond ones are definitely the best options and the ones you want to go after. So that's the rundown for creative player, best positions to go after, the best builds, and the best equipment to get for your creative player. Let me just show you guys actually really quick for equipment and the boost. So you go to the equipment tab right here, and then this is where you apply everything to get the upgrades for your player. Now, I'm pretty sure the attributes won't show up for like the base card, but like when you're in a game, that's when it applies the base stats for that card. But these are just the equipment stuff that I have right now. I don't have any diamonds, haven't really been grinding the creative player, but these are definitely things you want to pick up and make your creative player, you know, really solid. If I were to wind it down for you guys, I would go either catcher or pitcher, to be honest. I think you can make a really nasty pitcher with those velocities and the off-speed pitches. So catcher is pretty thin, or pitcher. But once again, these are the positions you should be looking at, the best builds and the best equipment you should be going after to make your creative player the best possible. If this helped you out at all, make sure to subscribe, drop a like in the video. Thank you guys for watching, and I'm out.